Hello and welcome back to LFC Transfer Room. Liverpool have bounced back with a win against Rangers, 2-0 on the night. A much improved performance. Tonight I'm joined by Dan, Anthony, and Drew for this post-match. Dan, I'll start with you. Much improvement was needed after the last few performances, but we sure saw it tonight, didn't we?
Oh my God, guys! I am so excited. I feel like I haven't seen a win in years. I'm mainly happy, regardless of the win. I'm just happy that the club finally tried something different. I've been banging about this for the past couple months. Oh my God, this feels so refreshing, unexpected. Loved it, every single little bit of it. What about you, Owen? How's it going?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we all knew after the last couple of games that things like this couldn't continue. And yeah, little tactical tweak by the looks of it. And yeah, it seems to have sorted all of the problems now. And yeah, if we're being totally real, we could have scored a lot more than two tonight. But Anthony, how are you doing, mate? How are you feeling after that?
Feeling great. I was optimistic going into the match anyway. On the pre-match thoughts live stream, so it was expected. I think if we lost to Rangers, then there'd be in serious trouble for us. But it's good to get the 3 points, and it's good that Napoli beat Ajax. When I saw Napoli, not Napoli, when I saw Ajax going ahead, all three of us on 6 points, I thought we can't leave it to the last match. But we got extra 3 points. I think we could secure our spot into the next round in the next two matches.
Oh, definitely. It looks like we've got that momentum now, and we just have to kind of carry it into the league, don't we, Drew? Because Champions League now, I know we had that Napoli game, we bounced back against Ajax, and now this win now. But the Premier League, that's kind of where we need to be sort of aiming to improve now.
Yeah, that's the big question for me. It's like we've seen bounce back performances against the likes of Bournemouth, but for me, I think Dan touched on it. Like the formation change was just really refreshing to see, and we just looked so much more complete in our performance from back to front. Our pressing was on. The lads seemed up for it. Can't remember the last time we scored the first goal and we're taking a lead into the half. So I'm more optimistic for the weekend than I would have been prior to this match, even though I expected us to win, like Anthony.
Dan, obviously Arsenal on Sunday. I think it's going to be a really tough game because the way Arsenal play at the minute, and we haven't been covering ourselves in glory whatsoever. So yeah, they've got the home advantage as well. So I think they're probably going to be favourites going into the game. Does tonight's performance kind of change anything in your eyes, or is it still kind of the underdog mentality going into it?
Same underdog mentality, man. You name it. Please don't ruin this moment for me, Owen. Please. I don't want to think about Arsenal right now. But I mean, it's going to be a pretty risky thing to do for the Arsenal game because we've seen that this new formation, which, by the way, I want to touch on this, by the way. Someone is saying 4-2-3-1. Was it a 4-2-3-1 or was it a 4-2-4, a 4-4-2? I don't know. But this formation seems like it works, but it does have a few issues maybe with players remembering their places and things like that. So either club tries this out against Arsenal, which should be, by the way, for me, the right call, regardless of the result, until we start easing into it, or we just go back to the 4-3-3 and it is what it is. So I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen against Arsenal. I'm hoping we keep seeing this formation. I loved it, man. I cannot stop going on about it.
Yeah, definitely make a point there. Obviously, it's going to take time for things to click. It's if this is going to be a permanent thing going forward, we can't just expect to see perfection straight away. But Anthony, I agree with Dan there. I think going forward now, this is the way to go. We saw it tonight. Much improved performance. But Sunday, do we go all out and play this sort of 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 against Arsenal?
I think we've got to. We saw improvements not only just like up front in terms of players actually going forward defensively. The midfielders are doing their job, and Henderson, I think you know as well. I'm not his biggest fan, but today he was incredible. He was backing up Trent whenever he needed backing up. And in midfield, him and Thiago were complementing each other really well. We didn't look out of place, and it looked like a proper Liverpool performance. All season round, it's just been a bit slow and a bit like I don't know what I'm watching, but whenever I'm watching Liverpool, but today, even in the Ajax match as well, to be fair, it looked like a proper Jurgen Klopp team, and I think we do have to carry this going into the Arsenal match 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-4, whatever formation we played. It looked like, from an offensive point of view, once Nunez gets his finishing touch, it's going to be unstoppable. Like, he had 4 or 5 chances, should have buried 2 or 3 of them, but he obviously has to still get used to this team and stuff. But his link-up play was really well. Salah, I thought, first match in a while, I thought he's really stood out and played a good match. Same with Diaz, he's just incredible, man. He's nothing like I've ever seen before. Everything that he does is just perfection. And just taking players on everything. And to get that penalty as quick feet is on another planet. But yeah, I think 4-2-3-1 against Arsenal. Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, who plays there, doesn't really matter. But also, does anyone know about Artur? What's happened to him? Just a little question.
No.
So I heard that he wasn't put down on the Champions League squad, or am I just crazy?
I haven't heard anything.
I'm not
about
sure.
Oh, that could be it. That could be the answer, Dan. If we didn't get
I
him
saw
in
someone
time.
mention.
He played against Napoli, though,
I
didn't
think
he?
he was in the squad
Oh,
before
yeah.
the game was played. I think he was, because he came on against Napoli, didn't he? So, but yeah, we'll see what happens with him. But one man tonight, Thiago. I saw a totally different side to Thiago tonight that I've never really seen before, if I'm being totally honest. Sort of tackling wise, I thought kind of before he can be really reckless when tackling. He can kind of give away a lot of fouls. Yeah, he can do that. But tonight, he just seemed to perfect everything perfectly and like time everything to perfection. And yeah, it was just an all-round fantastic performance. And like, if he can sort that side of his game out and then have that passing as well, Drew, he's going to be one of the best midfielders in the world. And if we keep him fit, we can win pretty much any competition with him in our side.
Yeah, the pivot of him and Henderson was really impressive. I just slagged off Henderson pretty badly in the stream the other day, saying that his legs were gone. But he does, when he's at his fittest and best, he can do a really good performance for us. And I felt like that allowed Thiago to really excel next to him. He was just pulling the strings from the midfield beside him. And he had, like you said, the tackling side of his game. I always slate Thiago for being really slow and defensively sloppy. I remember him in the start of his Liverpool campaign just giving away really bad free kicks. But you said it, he's started to develop that side of his game. And I think with this formation, that gives him more time to assess defensively, where he's not necessarily like running back from a forward position to make, defensive contribution. He's starting a little further back from where he's been pulling the strings. And it's just hopefully we can keep him fit.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's kind of the problem with Thiago, isn't it? But another player alongside him, Jordan Henderson, we've already touched on him. But everyone's written him out this season, and I still haven't said that we're done with Henderson. I still have that bit of hope in him. And tonight, he repaid that hope. He was unbelievable. And if we can be seeing this Jordan Henderson even once a week in a game, Dan, then that's a result, isn't it? He's 32 years old. He's not going to be perfect. He's coming towards the back end of his career. But even if you can get this sort of performance out of him once a week, that's absolutely fine, isn't it?
You know what? I think this Henderson is the Henderson that we will always get if we play a pivot of 2. Because I feel like the role that he was playing under today was way, way different than the one that he's used to. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he wasn't alone covering for Trent this time. Mohamed Salah would drop from the wing all the way down to almost the right back position to defend a lot. So that took a lot of the weight out of Henderson's shoulders. I don't know how that works formation-wise, because obviously when you play a two pivot midfield, there's like a bigger gap in midfield. But now with Mohamed Salah dropping down, he felt more relaxed. He felt more open to do his thing. So maybe I feel like this is going to be the Henderson that we will always see if we play under this formation. Now, I could be wrong, of course, but we'll see. I saw him like right in the middle. He didn't move as much. He didn't have to go cover anything. And in fact, every single ball that he received, he just threw it up a first touch pass, and it worked. So a more stable Henderson that doesn't have to go running around all over the pitch, I feel like is the one to go to see a good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And even defensively today, you can see Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we start with his goal actually, because what a strike it was from the free kick. Anthony, I've become a bit frustrated at Trent's free kicks in the past, but he absolutely sat me down with that one. I can't lie. And yeah, that will almost certainly make him continue taking free kicks now for the foreseeable future, really.
Definitely. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I wanted Trent off free kicks from last season or 2 seasons ago. I don't think he scored a single one. But it is a solid little free kick. No keeping the world was stopping that man. But all round today, he was unbelievable. And I think he's won LFC Transfer Room's Man the Match award. Everyone voted on there. So it's good to see him get a recognition he deserves. And even on commentary, they're giving his applaud. It's all round defensively. Ryan Kent is going to be a big challenge for him, obviously. Tricky winger, fast-paced player as well. Trenton, he handled him pretty well. And even going forward, some of his passes were unbelievable. But I wouldn't say it's his best match we've seen from him, but just because a few of his passes didn't work out. But all around, he was looking up and he looked confident for once. Normally, like for the past few weeks, it's like he just can't be bothered. Whereas now it looked like he had some sort of urgency to his game. So it's good to see it. And yeah, great free kick from him.
Drew, do you think the fact it was an Anfield night, under the lights, European night, because we've all seen that video on Twitter, haven't we, of last week against Brighton, where we scored the third goal and Anfield Road and hardly anyone stood up. So that atmosphere tonight, it looked absolutely completely different. And yeah, it just looked, maybe the Rangers fans had a bit of an impact on that and made as kind of a fun game in that sense.
Yeah, I think you're always going to get a big Anfield night, and especially when our progression in the Champions League before this game started wasn't, we needed to win this game. So I think the crowd knew that we needed to have a big night. And I think you're right too. The Rangers supporters showing up, if they're loud, we're going to have to meet that standard or rise above it. And I think you saw that in that game. And, it's just one of those things you expect from a classic Champions League night at Anfield.
Absolutely. And Dan, Virgil van Dijk tonight as well. John Matty alongside him. They both just looked the standard, how you're used to seeing them. They weren't kind of out of position. They weren't disjointed. They were just totally solid. And yeah, Ibrahim Konate on the bench. Joe Gomez even made a cameo tonight. How much did that make you happy to see that these two players who we've relied on so heavily over the past few years, they're back now?
I'm so happy for that, man. I mean, it wasn't such an impact for me because we were so used to them two giving solid performances. I was more shocked about the front line offering so much, man. So seeing Virgil and Matty back to their best for me was like, okay, they're back. But just seeing Salah, Luis Diaz, Darwin Nunez get so many chances, man. Diogo Jota just running the show. I was so hyped, man. I don't know. I haven't felt this excited about a Liverpool match in a while. And I know it's Rangers, and even though it was a hard match, it's significantly a weaker team compared to the ones in the Premier League. But just seeing this tactical shift, just so excited, man. That front line impressed me. Back line, I'm just happy that it's back to its best. But that front line, man, so surprised.
Oh, absolutely. And at left back as well, Kostas Tsimikas. I thought he was unbelievable tonight. Always making that overlapping run. And every single time you see him, he's always got that little bit of space. Yeah, he's not perfect, don't get me wrong. And I think with a run of games, he could be absolutely phenomenal. And Anthony, what did you make of his performance tonight? Do you think he did much wrong? Because, yeah, I thought he was pretty much solid and much better than Andy Robertson's been in recent weeks.
Yeah, but I don't think that's anything to sort of judge him by. Robertson's not been great recently, but Tsimikas, for a consistent amount of time, to be fair, he's been playing at a top level, and that's what we needed for the past couple of seasons. Someone who could push the fullbacks, and I think Trent's also needed that recently. But we've seen that he could pick up his game whenever, so it's good to see Tsimikas perform like to the level we want him to. And going forward, I think he's still got a tiny bit to work on, maybe just a tiny bit of end product, but all round, you can't really fault his game. The goal line clearance towards the end as well, sort of celebrated that like a goal. Is like we just needed those moments where you switch off for the defenders, and we concede silly goals. He was there to stop it, so we don't really want to concede any more of those ones. And Simicast did a great job defensively and going forward today. And just like it is sorry, mine's gone blank. Is opposite the player on the opposite side, Trent as well, but both defensively solid today and both great going forward.
Drew, what did you make of Rangers tonight? Because obviously the atmosphere and stuff, it makes them hard, makes it hard for them to come and play the football how they want to play. But I was quite underwhelmed really with the lack of sort of attacking threat they posed during the game. They really just struggled just to get on the ball, make a pass. I know there's been kind of stick given to the Scottish League in the past, but I always thought it was much improved now.
Yeah, I think away from home, especially setting up with three at the back, they set themselves up for a defensive team. I think they might have been relying on the counter, but as you said, they couldn't string together any passes. They constantly gave the ball away, and they never really grew into the game at all. Maybe one or two moments, especially towards the end, once we've made our substitutions. But I think they'll be, disappointed they didn't have a go at it. Maybe they're still trying to tag that third place position to get into the Europa League, but I'd expect a completely different performance when they're at home at the Ibrox. I think everyone knows about the atmosphere there, and they're going to have their home support behind them, so I wouldn't expect the same timid Rangers. I'd expect them at least to have a go over there, but I think we saw in the last 10 minutes once we made our substitutions, and I think we went back to a 4-3-3 in that situation as well, with Milner, Fabinho, and Elliott in the midfield, with Firmino, Salah, and Diaz up top. And we looked, we gave away a few opportunities there. So maybe that's another tick for keeping the 4-2-3-1 going forward. But yeah, it was underwhelming for Rangers. I think was pretty much guaranteed, considering the quality of the Scottish Premier League compared to the Premier League, and especially away from home, which we know is not their strong suit.
Yeah, it was never going to be easy for them. But Dan, Harvey Elliott tonight, I was kind of surprised not to see him come to the starting lineup after Saturday's game. I thought maybe Klopp would say he's been one of the top performers this season. So bring him in, see what we can do. But no, starting from the bench again. I know he came on, but were you surprised not to see him in the team sheet?
So after seeing what Dominic King came out saying that Klopp was going to move to a different formation, I wasn't as surprised, because as soon as I heard that he was going to try something new, I was like, okay, Thiago, Henderson, Fabinho are starting for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if Harvey Elliott wasn't in the lineup, which had happened. But I think it surprised me the most that I saw Fabinho get dropped. I wasn't expecting this at all. And in fact, I'm going to be honest, I was so worried when I saw that. But the fact that I saw Harvey Elliott not on the pitch, I didn't really mind it as much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the midfield did its job, and yeah, going forward, fantastic. If it can stay like that, I think considering Thiago played there really well when playing for Bayern Munich, I think it suits him perfectly. Where when he came to Liverpool, he was kind of playing in a midfield where he had to adapt. And I can kind of go back to what he knew before, so that suits him. Seems to better Jordan Henderson, which yeah, he hasn't been playing his best football recently. Mohamed Salah, I even thought he was much better tonight, Anthony. And it just seemed like he had a lot more space, which in recent weeks he's really struggled to have. He's always had like two men really tight on him, but yeah, he had space to run into today.
Oh, yeah, you said it. Took the words out of my mouth, mate. So the problem with Elliot, I think, when he plays in that midfield three, is takes up so much of Salah's space that Salah can't really cut in or do what he's normally good at. So just stay so far wide. I know Klopp said there's not really been a difference, but there clearly has been, because he's just not been performing to the normal level that we've seen from him. So like you said, there's so much space for him to sort of cut in, and we saw his sort of trademark finishes. Obviously, he didn't end up in the back of the net, but we saw him cut in plenty of times today and take a shot, and obviously even managed to get a goal. It was a penalty, but we take it. And likewise with the midfield, like you said, Henderson, there was none of him running upfield pointlessly, trying to run down the wing or run up front into the 9 position. Just stick to your position, defend. Same with Thiago, and Thiago's that good. He could play in a midfield 3. He could play in a midfield 2 as well. So it's good to see, and I think that is the way going forward now. It brings out the best of all our players, and we're obviously so used to 4-3-3 for so long that teams know what they're coming up against, and they know how to defend against it, which I think Alisson said midweek last week, a few days ago, sorry, when we drew against Brighton. So it's good to see us finally switching it up, and clearly there's a positive difference.
Drew, it even seemed to help Darwin Nunez, who, yeah, he hasn't had an ideal start to his Liverpool career, but tonight I think was a promising step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we saw the best of what Nunez can offer, and I think along with that was how many opportunities he had to score. He definitely should have put some in the back of the net, but the fact that he's getting those opportunities and he wasn't shying away from taking them, it's, you only get so many of those opportunities before you actually start knocking them in. If he gets that many opportunities a game, he's going to start scoring. We know he has that in his locker. And I think it's down to this formation giving him more to work with. I think it was really interesting to see Jota in there as well. I know Dan touched on it the other day where he could offer some assistance to Nunez. And I think the link up play between Diaz, Jota, and Salah helped Nunez have a little more freedom to run in behind and get the ball just to take a shot and not have to worry about getting too involved in the build up play. I think he grew in that case where he had some nice touches here or there, but I think his real asset was getting in behind, making those runs, and having a shot. And excited to see him finally have a chance to thrive and show what he has to offer. And I've been very critical of him in the past, but I'm excited to see what this new formation can give him and opportunities, and I'm hoping he takes them as soon as possible.
Drew was crying right there. He got emotional after that win, huh?
As long as he takes them versus Arsenal, that's all I ask.
Oh, we'd be dreaming that. But Dan, do you think that's the case as well with Nunez? Get first goal, and then all the confidence will come, and he'll then go on to be very, very prolific. Because that's what I think will happen personally.
Again, this might seem like a very boring answer, guys, and repetitive, but I think it's all about the formation. Like today, I saw different Nunez. I didn't think I seen that Nunez had so many chances on goal. It was ridiculous. In fact, in the first half alone, I think we had like a total of 10 total shots and only 7 shots on goal. And most of those shots were from Nunez. So, and if he keeps playing under this formation, there's going to be a point where he's going to score. For some reason, all his chances, he was not taking risks. I think most of the shots were going right at the keeper. Maybe I don't know if he was afraid of going wide or something, but he was making very easy shots, but they were still pretty dangerous. So I think if we keep this formation, man, I'm just so excited about this formation, man. I don't know. If we keep this formation, we're gonna see a better Nunez, we're gonna see a better Salah, a better Trent. I don't know. Everything just seems to have slotted perfectly in. I was like Drew was saying, we were talking about Diogo Jota having Raul Jimenez the other day at Wolves and how he played much better there. And having a similar setup, it looks like it eased Darwin Nunez into playing now. Like it doesn't just rely on himself to score. Same with Luis Diaz. He had more of a free role, which makes me wonder, did we play a 4-2-3-1 or what? Because he was all over the place, man. He was on the left, in the middle, on the right. So it's just so hard to tell what we were playing. But I feel like if we keep this going on, he's going to score a couple against Arsenal, or at least one. But we'll see if he even starts. Because, Bobby has been in great form in the Premier League. So I just don't want Klopp to switch back to the 4-3-3. I'm just begging he doesn't do that.
Yeah, it just feels like that sort of stage is gone now, doesn't it? It feels like we played all those seasons where we came close, and it's time for that next step, that next evolution, really. But yeah, it's a good point you make about Bobby Firmino as well. Totally forgotten about tonight. But he did score 2 on Saturday and was arguably our best player alongside Alisson. So, Anthony, would you start Bobby on against Arsenal, or would you, or maybe even play Bobby and Nunez? I don't know. Jota maybe is a bit tired, a bit lethargic. So, what do you think?
I'm not sure. My mind's a bit. I think it'll change every day up until the build up. But I think for right now, I'd go with Firmino, Salah, Diaz, and Jota, just because Jota's obviously not experienced, but his goal scoring record against Arsenal. And same with Firmino. I think whenever he plays against Arsenal, he always turns up and he's one of the best players on the pitch. So you've got to go with those two. But I wouldn't have any complaints if Nunez starts. He looked incredible. And like you're saying, Dan, Diaz looked all over the place, but Nunez is like 1 minute he's playing right wing, the next he's playing left wing. He's like, I still feel like he needs to stick to that normal striker role, but obviously if that's what Klopp's sort of training him to do, to sort of move like interchange between different positions, then fair enough. But it feels like he's at his best when he's making runs in behind the defenders and getting shots off. But I personally would go with Firmino and Jota just because their goal scoring history against Arsenal.
Yeah, I agree, to be fair. But yeah, with Nunez, I think either way, you're not going to complain, are you? And Drew, sorry to put you on the spot here, but anything else that really impressed you tonight? Any real positives that we haven't mentioned already?
I think we covered it for the most part, but I'll give a shout out to Rangers goalkeeper McGregor. 40 years old, just absolutely killing it between the posts. I think the Nunez shots that he saved were pretty standard saves, but I think that one spin and turn from Jota where he got like the slightest of fingertips on it to push it over the bar, that was extremely impressive reactions for a 40-year-old in goal. So I'll give a shout out to him. But other than that, I think we've covered it on the Liverpool side.
Yeah, and we're going to man of the match now. I'm actually struggling to think of mine, if I'm being perfectly honest. Dan, who are you going with tonight?
Oh man, so my heart it's telling me Samikas, but I don't want to say it, okay, because I know he didn't do much. But I saw crazy Samikas, man, all over the place. I don't know if it was the tactical change that we had, but Samikas was most of the time playing as a winger, and when we went back to defend, most of the time he would stay until in the midfield, and someone will cover him. I don't know if they switched roles with the right back position because usually it's Trent moving up and then Trent, someone having to cover Trent. But in this case, Samikas was up ahead most of the time. I saw him touching the ball so many times. I was like, wow! Like from the whole match, the one that impressed me the most was Samikas and Luis Diaz. But of course, going off by what we've seen on Twitter, because we put in a poll, and most people seem to believe that Trent was the one to take the man of the match performance. I'm gonna go ahead and say Trent, but I think Luis Diaz ran the show as well. So it's either a matchup between those three, but let's just say Trent because he had that goal. He didn't put a foot wrong tonight, and he deserved this performance. So I'm gonna say Trent.
And what about this one as well? Ben Davis. You haven't gotten to him. Yeah, he wasn't fantastic, I don't think. Finally made his appearance at Anfield. But oh dear. And Anthony, who's your man of the match today?
I'm torn, man. I feel like a lot of the players played well today and sort of equally just as good as each other. But uh, do I go with Henderson or Owen? That's the question. Uh, I think I'm gonna go with Luis Diaz. I thought everything he did today was incredible. Just if he had that final end product, he could have got a goal. But the sort of build up to the penalty was insane from him. So like Dan said, I thought he ran the show today.
And Drew, what about you?
I think realistically, Trent, I'd throw in a shout for Henderson though, just because he surprised me. Extremely, especially after the weekend. But I also give a shout to Klopp. I know he's not playing, but to be able to get that turnaround from the players, I know we all expected a win against Rangers, but that performance was just one that was truly, heart lifting to see. The players just looked like they were back to their old confident selves, and to get that turnaround from them, it's amazing. But Trent for player, and nod of the hat to Klopp for getting it right and making some changes.
I really want to go with Henderson, but I'm not going to. I'm going to resist the urge to go with him. I'm going to go Thiago because I think the midfield's where we want it today, and just having that tempo and press which comes from the midfield is so key. And yeah, it was much improved. So yeah, definitely Thiago. I can tell.
What's your thoughts on Louis' comment about Hendo and the two-man midfield?
Oh, it's hard, isn't it, to say because we haven't really seen it against the top team yet. I know Rangers, they're not the best, are they? So yeah, I think it's either going to go really well or horribly. We're being totally honest, but there we are. Anyone else got any thoughts on that?
I do. I don't think it's going to work like Louis said against the top teams. I think, call me crazy, when Naby Keita's back, he's perfect for that two role. Him and Thiago together. So when them two are together, Keita could do the defensive work, which is what you need for the holding role. And going forward, he can pick out a good pass as well. So going forward, it'll be those two. Obviously, he's not exactly available at the moment. So either Fabinho or Henderson.
Has he made an appearance yet this season, Naby Keita?
Community Shield.
There we
He
go.
played last 5 minutes.
7-minute cameo. Oh, yeah. We had a bit of a discussion on stream the other night. I feel like every single time you come on stream and Navi's name's mentioned, it instantly, or at least when I'm on stream, it just divides opinion. But there we are. Thanks to everyone who joined tonight. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. Loads more content still to come with obviously Arsenal on Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. See you a bit.